the front of our Dutchman Colorado 17 RBC. We're going to do a technical walkthrough on our unit just like a technician would do on the date of delivery. We're going to go to the operation of some of these items. If you want a deeper dive on some of the products on this unit, you can find that under our Helpful Hacks playlist for Great American RV on our YouTube channel. So we're going to start in the front. We have a manual jack here in the front. That manual jack can be swapped out to an electric jack. That's 12 volts. You'll replace those 3 bolts, bolt it in, and run that wire to the battery. Pretty easy upgrade. Up here you also have your single propane tank with your single propane regulator. So once that tank runs dry, you'll have to go ahead and get it refilled. We also have our 7-way plug here in the front. This obviously goes into the vehicle you're using to tow with. It'll transfer all of your lights from your truck over to your trailer. It also carries a 12-volt charge line that will feed and charge that battery off of the alternator of that vehicle while you're traveling down the road. And then you'll also have your brake line that comes off of your brake controller to run the brakes on the trailer. Other thing that you're going to have up front is this safety cable right here. This is for our breakaway box. This should always be latched and hooked to the receiver hitch itself, never to the chains or the hitch that you're using to tow the trailer with. The reason being is if those are the items that fail, then this is going to go with it and not do what it's supposed to do. So the objective is if anything ever fails, this pin is going to pull out and then it will initiate the brakes on the trailer. Now that's only going to work if we have a good 12-volt system. So if we have a bad battery in here, that safety system is not going to initiate. During travel, that pin should always be in. You want to check that before you hit the road. Behind our propane tank is where our battery storage is. We'll see some inline fuses and stuff right here. We'll also have our solar connect right here. That 2-prong plug, that's if we want to purchase a solar panel and put it out when we store our unit. We can go ahead and get a solar charge on that battery system if we're not plugging that unit in during storage. It will help trickle charge and keep that battery up to charge. Here on the driver's side of our unit, we have our freshwater connection. That freshwater connection is for our fresh tank, which is our onboard water storage. We pull that cap off right there, we stick a water hose in there, and we can fill that tank. We can monitor that through our panel on the interior to know how much water we have in that system. When we want to use that water, we'll kick on our 12-volt water pump, and that will bring water to our faucets and everything in our unit. This is used when we are dry camping, off the grid camping. We don't have a water source like a water spigot anywhere. We would go ahead and use that. If we do have a water hose at wherever we're camping, we hook it up to our city water connection right here. We turn that faucet bib on, and that will bring water to our system. You will notice right under our underbelly, inside that frame, there is a white valve. That white valve is to drain that freshwater tank whenever we're not using that water or we don't want to carry it around with us. Keep in mind that is added extra weight to our system. So if we're not using it, drain that water out, and we definitely don't want to leave it in there for long periods of time because that water will eventually become stagnant. Here, moving down the side, we have our Suburban heater. This is our gas furnace for our system. Operates off that propane tank in the front, keeps our unit warm. This exhaust will get a little hot, so keep that in mind. We also have our 30-amp twist lock plug right here for power to our unit. We want to always make sure we plug that twist lock in first. Put that retainer ring on there tight so it doesn't pull out and have any arcing, and then we plug it into our service at the campground or at our house. And also make sure that your appliances are off, like your AC system, so it doesn't cause any surges in your AC and any issues with that later on down the road. Here we have our water heater system. This one in particular is a Suburban water heater, and it is gas only on this system. So once again, operating off of our propane tank, that gas burner will ignite and heat your water. Now we'll go over the operation of how that works on the interior. If you want more information on this water heater system, we do have that in our Helpful Hack section. Here at the back corner of our unit, we have our dump station. This is our gray tank valve right here. Our gray tank is going to come from our sinks and our shower on our unit. So basically soapy water, maybe a little food debris, stuff like that from our kitchen area. If we have a hose connection hooked up to a sewer outlet at the campground or wherever we're staying, we can leave that gray tank valve open all the time and just let that water run out so it doesn't fill up that tank. If we're dry camping, of course, we need to wait until we're at a dump station and we can go ahead and hook that hose up and dump it out. The other valve is our black tank. That one, however, needs to stay closed all the time unless we're ready to dump. We're ready to flush our tank out and all that stuff. So our black tank is from our toilet. That's where our sewage is going, toilet paper, and nothing else. We don't need to put any other products in there. Treat it like a septic tank system, right? So sewage and toilet paper only. We also want to keep several gallons of water in there. If we don't, then what's in there will solidify and cause some issues. If we leave that valve open all the time, once again, those solids are going to solidify and cause issues, and it's going to be a big problem later on down the road. RV toilet paper only as well, because that makes sure that that decomposes, and when we flush our system out, it's easier to flush and drain out. So flushing this system, when we're going to dump, we hook our water hose up, we open that valve, and we let everything run out of it first. Once we're done for this particular unit, we would have to get a wand, go in where our toilet is. That wand is generally hooked to a water hose, and you're sticking the wand down the toilet, and you're just rotating it in the tank, and you're flushing any debris or anything that might be left in there out of that tank through your hose. Another way of doing it is you can go ahead and close that valve off and fill that tank system up by doing the same thing, using that wand or flushing it out and having a little bit of water build up in that system. Just want to monitor it, that way you don't overflow that tank. If you overflow that tank, that's on you. You need to make sure you're doing this and monitoring that water level properly. Once you're done and satisfied, you open this valve and let that system flush out, and then you close that valve off again. You want to add several gallons of water to that tank system, because there's still going to be a little bit of debris in there, and while you're driving down the road, that little bit of water will help flush that tank out next time you dump it and knock that stuff off the wall and your sensors. We also want to go ahead and dump chemical in our tanks as well. If we're staying somewhere for a long period of time, you want to do it maybe once or twice a week, depending on the smell or anything that's in that tank. If we're storing our unit, drop a tablet in there and you should be good to go as long as that tank's clean. On the back of our Colorado, we are pre-wired for a backup camera on here. If we purchase the backup camera system, we can add it on. Whenever we turn our lights on, it'll turn the power on for that camera system, and we'll have a monitor in our truck that can connect through the Bluetooth. On our rear corners, we have our stabilizer jacks to stabilize that unit. These are manual cranks. We'll go over the operation of those now. These stabilizer jacks are weight rated, and they are for stabilizing only, not to level your unit. You can level your unit by putting stacker blocks under the tires as you back up to level your unit from left to right, and you can put blocks or run that jack up and down in the front to level it from front to back. And then you want these jacks down in this even diamond shaped form. This will help distribute the weight throughout the unit. Once again, just slight pressure on them, enough to lift the unit just a little bit, and this will stabilize your unit and reduce the movement in it. They are not levelers, and they shouldn't be overextended. This will cause damage to them that the manufacturer will not participate in. So please make sure you are using them properly and as intended. Your bumper can also be used for a sewer hose storage. If you pull the caps off of one end, you can put your sewer hose in there and put that cap back on so you don't have to store it on the interior of your unit. Make sure that you allow that to air out. You don't want to leave water and stuff in there. Obviously it is metal and it will rust from the interior, so make sure that sewer hose is nice and dry. You pull it out whenever you get back from the campground, let it air out. On the passenger side of our unit, we do have a little front storage compartment right here. As we move back, we have our 12-volt awning. Our 12-volt awning is a sunshade only. It's not intended to shield us from rain or anything like that. It is strictly there to give us some shade from the sun. Now, if we do leave our awning out during a storm, windstorm, rainstorm, anything like that, and that awning fails and breaks, that's going to become an insurance claim that you don't want to have to pay for. So make sure that if you're leaving your unit for an extended period of time, or you see a storm coming or the wind picks up, go ahead and roll that awning in so you don't have any damage to it. Another thing about our awning is, once again, it's 12 volt. If we have any issues with it, we can go to that 12 volt fuse panel, check and make sure that fuse isn't blown. Another thing is we need to pitch our awning either to the front or the back. We can do that with this little knob right here on either side. We can take that awning arm, slide it down a little bit, and then we tighten up that knob. Then, and when we are ready to roll that awning in, we loosen that knob, and then we run that awning back up so we can roll it in. We do this because any dew or anything that might be on that awning, we want to allow that to run off, and we can do that by pitching it over. Also, under our awning, we have our outlets right here, 110 outlets. Those are GFCI protected. In the event that they get wet or you plug in too many griddles or something outside, that is going to trip that system. We'll find the reset for that on the inside, likely when we get to the bathroom. We have our manual steps right here. We can go ahead and just lift them up and slide them in, and to pull them out, just grab them and pull them out. Want to lubricate that every now and again to make sure that it doesn't get seized up. WD-40 is fine. I always suggest silicone spray because WD-40, dirt and everything likes to stick to it, so that can cause you more problems later on down the road. We also want to make sure that we're keeping it painted. If we start to see chips in the paint or anything, go ahead and slap some spray paint on there. That way you don't have any rust issues later on down the road. On our entry door, we do have a little latch right here that can connect to keep that door from the wind from blowing that door around or anything like that, and to keep it from hitting our awning arm. Right when you walk into your unit, you have your control center right here. This is your water pump switch. Remember that external tank that we talked about outside? If you don't have water wherever you're camping, you kick that on and that will pull from that tank. This switch is for your 12-volt awning outside. And then we have our meter right here. If we hit whatever tank we're wanting to monitor, then the lights will pop up at the top and tell us what level that tank is at. This is for our gas water heater right here. And when we are ready to use that water heater, we'll turn our propane on and click that switch on. This red light will come on for a second until that system lights. Once it lights, that light should go off. In the event you have any issues where that light comes on and it stays on, that system isn't lighting, you can refer to your owner's manual or check with our Helpful Hacks video for more information. Here we are in our bedroom. In our bedroom area, we do have some storage under that mattress. We can lift it up. We have a little bit of storage under there that we can keep some of our items. We also have our AC system. That AC system is 110 operated. It is basically a window unit. You're going to have your functions for cool on here, and you can operate your fan and stuff through there. Pretty self-explanatory. You can change your temperature with your dials up there on the top. Over here to the side, we have our exit window. In order to operate that, we lift that red latch right there, and then we push out on that window. We pull that screen off and we can exit out of there. Up here next to your bed, you'll notice you have your port right here for your antenna. This unit does not have a cable from the park cable to the interior, so if you want cable, you have to run that through the window. This is strictly for your antenna. You'll notice two switches on here. One is for your antenna boost. If you have that antenna system, you'll hook that coax to your TV and scan for channels. You'll want that green light on so it will boost and catch all the channels in your area. The other one is if you had the Wi-Fi router system upgradable on here, that would be to turn that system on so you could boost your Wi-Fi. This particular unit does not have that upgrade, but you can add it on there. In our kitchen area, we have that GFCI resettable outlet right there. We talked about the outlet outside. You also have other outlets in your unit that are GFCI protected. In the event that you plug too many griddles in or those outlets get wet, it is going to trip this system. Whenever it trips, we're going to notice a little red light pop up on that outlet. When we want to go ahead and reset that system, we just click the reset button. There's also a red test button on here. If we want to test that GFCI, we can go ahead and hit that test button and it will trip that outlet. Over here we have our sink, of course, and our 2-burner stove by Suburban. In order to operate that stove, we need to have our manual lighter ready. We pick which stovetop burner we're going to use. Simply turn that knob by pushing it down and turning it, and you want to have your lighter ready to go because as soon as you turn it, you're going to start expelling gas into your unit, and that could be a hazard. So light it right away. Don't just sit there and let it run. Now, important thing about any of your gas systems on here, your furnace and your water heater on this unit in particular, anytime you swap out your tank or you pull your tank out of storage, you're going to end up with air in the lines, even if you turn your valves off or anything like that, and you're more likely going to have air in your system. Best thing to do is come to your stovetop and bleed the air out of the system. You do that by simply lighting it, letting it burn for about 60 seconds till you have a nice blue flame, and then go operate that furnace or that water heater, and this helps eliminate any possibility that you're going to end up with a fault on the system. Right here, this is your furnace. We'll go over the operation of that when we get to the thermostat. Below that is our 110 and 12 volt center. We have our 110 breakers here and our 12 volt fuses right here. It's also labeled on here what all of these items go to, so you can get familiar with that. Anytime you have an issue with those particular items, you can come here and check to make sure the breakers aren't tripped or that your fuses aren't blown. We also have our COLP detector right here. That is a 12 volt safety device. We can notice that little green light on there lets us know that it is powered up, and we need to monitor this. If it ever goes off, then we want to go ahead and exit the unit. This will notify you of CO or propane gas. We don't want to use any solvents around that to clean it or anything. We can dust it off and that's about it. Maybe use an air compressor and blow it out a little bit, but nothing else. They do have an expiration date on them printed right here on the front. If you don't see it on the front, you have to undo the screws and pull it out the back. They're good for about 5 years, and then we want to have that replaced. Once again, 12 volt operated, runs off of your battery. You do have your regular smoke detector in here. That's going to run off of a 9 volt battery, just like the one in your house. You want to test and make sure that this and your smoke detector are operating properly before you hit the road. Here you'll have your 110 operated microwave, works just like the one at your house. And right here you'll have your dorm fridge, once again 110 operated as well. Anytime you use your fridge, you go to store your unit, you're going to have water buildup in there from the ice in the freezer section, or even just from humidity and condensation on the inside of that unit. Anytime you're storing your unit not plugged in, and this refrigerator is going to be off, you want to defrost your unit, and you also want to get all the water out of there. These are airtight seals. They're not watertight, so that water can leak out of this system and damage the wood components around that refrigerator. So you want to make sure you take care of that properly so it doesn't have any issues with your wood panels on here, because manufacturers are not going to cover that item. We have our thermostat for our heater system, that gas furnace. In order to operate it, pretty simple. We're going to see our internal temperature on the inside of our unit right here. When we're ready to kick it on, we go ahead and slide that over to the warmer section until that thermostat comes on, and we can adjust roughly what we want our temperature to be. We want our system to turn off. Go ahead and kick it off and you're good to go. If we do run through a fault where our system isn't lighting, you hear it ticking but it never lights, simply go to that off position, let it sit for about 30 seconds, and then try it again. Once again, you may have some air in that propane system. Here we are in our bathroom. Bathroom is pretty cut and dry. You have a shower, your regular faucet in here, but one thing you may notice is on your shower head, you have a little button right here. That button is for whenever you're dry camping. If you're trying to conserve the amount of water that you're putting in your gray tank or using out of your fresh tank, easy way to do it is just click this button right here, and that will shut off your shower head rather than having to mess with your faucets right here and find that sweet spot for the hot water. It's just a different way that you can use that item. If you don't want to use it that way, you just turn the faucets off and on like you normally would on the controls. Now we'll talk about our toilet. Like we said before, our toilet water is going to go into that black tank system. We're only using it for number 1 and number 2, and treat it like septic system. Nothing else goes in there besides RV toilet paper, the sewage, and our chemicals. So whenever we are doing number 1, we can go ahead and just flush it down, no problem. If we're doing number 2, we want to fill that bowl up about maybe halfway or a little bit more. And we do that by barely depressing this pedal right here, and water will start to come out. If we depress it too much, that valve at the bottom is going to crack open. All that water is going to drain down into that tank. So you want to keep that ball valve closed while it fills up with water. Whenever we're done, flush it down the tank. We do this that way the toilet paper sewage that's in there will actually go down that pipe with enough water to flush it all the way into that tank, and we don't have anything clogging our pipes. Once again, when we flush out our system, we'll get one of those wands, and we can come in here, have it hooked to a water hose, open that valve, and stick that wand down and just rotate it and flush out that tank system.
Well, we hope you found that resourceful, but wait, there's more information on our Great American RV YouTube channel. This channel right here, find the playlist Hap's Helpful Hacks. We go over different products in this unit, and we'll take a deeper dive with more diagnostics, more information, as well as helpful tips when you're out camping. Tell your buddies, tell your friends, like, share, subscribe, do all those awesome things on YouTube, TikTok, wherever you found us, and keep watching here at Great American RV SuperStores, where we bring the how-to you.